Hey, everybody, it's John Halpin. I'm here with Ryan Fowler. Welcome to the Divisional Round edition, early edition of Pickwatch Live. We went, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, kind of middle ground across the board in the wildcard games, all right?
Yeah, I mean, depending on at what point of last week you got the spread, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a coin flip type situation Saturday to Sunday for myself.
Yeah, I wound up – I got lucky and got the Cowboys favored by 1.5.
Yeah, and it's funny. I did another segment where I took the Cowboys at 1.5, and then by the time I got to Pickwatch to make my pick, it had moved to 2. So that was my fault for not doing it early. But that's, again, I can't stress this enough. One of the best features of the site is it gives you the point total at the point that you want it. Not everybody gets the same point total. It actually ebbs and flows, which a lot of sites don't do.
Right. So what did you think? I'm going to start with the Seahawks-Cowboys game.
Sure.
The injured kicker backdoor cover was quite interesting.
Terrible. I mean, and it's so weird. I wasn't 100% convinced that Janikowski was healthy going into that game because you remember a couple weeks ago into the regular season, 16-15, he got hurt in that game, and Pete Carroll was kind of mocking him on the sideline. There was a gif of that going around. So, yeah, I wasn't completely convinced Janikowski was healthy, and then trying to stretch that hamstring out from 60 yards, I go, that guy's not built for that anymore. I don't think he was built for it when he was a rookie. He's always been kind of stocky, but that's an old body that you're asking to really extend those muscles that probably weren't as loose as they needed to be, and that's why he got hurt. And then that's why Betters got a little bit hosed there late. And again, if Dallas just stops him, we don't have this conversation, but it opened up the possibility of the back door. And, of course, when that's open, people usually walk through it.
Yeah, I was listening. At that point of the game, I had the sound pretty low. I was laying in bed watching it. And I'm going, they're going to get – and 4th and 4, I'm going, oh, they're going to kick.
Right.
And I turn it on, I hear, oh, the kicker's hurt. Oh, that's where they're going to go. And then I went, oh, no.
Right, exactly. You start doing all the math in your head, turning into a beautiful mind, all the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry if you had Cowboys favored by 2.5. But, hey, there's people on each side of that, I guess. Yeah. So we can't complain. So what did you think of that game? So the Seahawks tried to run. Cowboys have a good run defense. And they kept trying and trying and trying. And Russell Wilson he's like sitting right there. I get that they ran the ball well this year. At some point, when do you adjust? And Carroll's – look, I don't take a lot of stock into what coaches say post-game because they're not going to throw people under the bus. He's not going to say, yeah, you know what, my offensive coordinator, he blew it. They're never going to say that. But he said, the game plan gets away from you. And, guys, you had to – at some point, I know what did they use the word identity? I don't know if they did or someone else did. Right. But you have to adjust. And it's not like you didn't have the quarterback to do it with. And they just wouldn't.
They had the quarterback to do it. I just don't know if they have the receivers. And we've talked about this throughout the season. Doug Baldwin, great possession receiver, made one of the best catches of the year in that game along the left sideline. But Tyler Lockett's MO is use his speed, find space, catch it, and run away from the defense. You can only go to that well so many times in the NFL. Outside of that, who's catching the ball?
Funny you should mention that.
That's what I'm here for. It's just bumps that spike. If this is volleyball on a Tuesday.
Because I saw Tyler Lockett's stat yesterday, and I want to find it because it was just so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett.
He had a great year. I don't want to take anything away from him.
No. He had 76 targets. Was that it? Hold on. Where is he? I'm in the target count. So.
No, and again, I'll kind of just touch on the running game. I mean, it's worked. And if you're going to make that your MO, terrific. But there could be a few more read options with Russell Wilson, too. I think you could play off of that a little bit more. They did it here and there. But I still think Russell Wilson's best assets are if you run an RPO and you get him out in space, he's going to pick you up 8 to 10 yards almost every time. You can't do it too often, but that allows for Doug Baldwin and Lockett to find more room. Right.
So Lockett is – for the year, he had 71 targets, which is below Chester Rogers and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Deshaun Jackson. And, I don't have the ranking, but he's got to be 40th or 50th.
Yep, sounds about right.
In targets. But then if you go to receiving yards,
right,
he's over 1,000, right?
Go routes, baby. Go.
Yeah, I mean,
usually in the fourth quarter.
So to your point, where is he on this page? Hang on. All right, he's 22nd in receiving yards. He had 71 targets. He gets 57 catches, 965 receiving yards. So it's 16.9 per catch, and you get 10 touchdowns. But if the guy is just performing like a awesome receiver when you throw to him, I mean, don't you want to throw to him more? I know what you're saying. You go back to the ball so many times. He's a different kind of receiver, but I think they might underuse him.
I completely agree. I think he could be their T.Y. Hilton if they used it better. But again, if they're going to make their MO run, and the run was working, they're not going to flip from that script. I just think when you look at Baldwin and Lockett, as soon as they figure out who that third receiver is on the outside, life's going to be so much more balanced for them. Until then, it's just going to be the three-headed or four-headed monster on any given week for the Seahawks out of the backfield with a little Russell Wilson calling his own number. But they need another guy opposite Lockett. Okay. Until then, you can really load up against him.
He's tied for 81st in targets, but that counts running backs and tight ends. So I have to break that down separately by position. All right. Other games. Before I get to the other games, I just do want to point out the top 6 defenses in yards per game and top 7 in yards per play are all out for the season, by the way. So remember the defensive renaissance we talked about at the end of the season?
Right.
Okay. Now you got the top 2 offenses and 5 of the top 8 offenses still in. So just a little.
Those unders were all over the place.
Yeah.
This week. So it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, because Cowboy, they all. So the first game went under. The second game should have went under.
Should have.
The third game went under, and the fourth game went under.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think we were all over the unders last week.
Yeah. Actually, I got 2 of them. I wasn't with you on all of them. So, all right, Colts Texans. I did not expect that. That was. I did. The Colts are better than I thought, and I knew there was a possibility that the Colts were going to, that the role they were on meant they were kind of better than a 10-6 team.
Right.
But they kicked the crap out of the Texans.
I think there's so many layers to this. We could do an hour on this team, let alone the game. But I think there's other things to talk about besides Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's renaissance and just flip the script is incredible. Put that in a bucket. Their defense got better overnight. I mean, this is a Colts defense from our fantasy days where you would just attack, line up matchups against the Colts defense. And Darius Leonard, who's probably going to be the rookie of the year on defense, is just incredible. But as a whole, I mean, you shut down a really good offense like multiple times this year. So their defense. And then as we've talked about, Kelly makes a little difference, but their offensive line play. Andrew Luck used to get killed in that backfield, much like Deshaun Watson does now. So now the Texans kind of have to look at themselves and be like, man, we're kind of like the Colts of a few years ago. We have this good quarterback, above average quarterback, maybe elite one day, but we got to protect them. So you could just see the NFL draft profiles, get that offensive line built around Watson because he makes bad decisions when he's rushed, and he's rushed so often that that's kind of what you get. Plus you had DeAndre Hopkins, I guess, playing injured through a grade 3 sprain, which is never fun. It just a lot of things stacked up against them, but the Texans, they showed some weaknesses down the stretch, which led me to pick the Colts in that matchup. And just looking at Pickwatch's group of people, I guess other people thought the Colts were better too.
See, I did. I figured it might be a toss-up game, and I was taking the home team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I didn't look. The Colts winning didn't shock me. It's just the degree that they won to was ridiculous. By the way, the Colts, Chris Ballard, their GM, what a fantastic job he did. So that after that trade, I'm looking at the draft picks.
Uh-huh.
After that trade with the Jets, so they traded down 3 spots with the Jets. And so they wind up taking for Darnold. So they wind up taking Quentin Nelson at 6. Then they take Darius Leonard with what I think was their regular second-round pick. Then they take their other guard, Braden Smith, with the pick they got from the Jets in the second round. So they took Leonard and Smith back. I mean, he just did a great job. He just loaded up in that draft, and that's part of where the defense got better. I know I said 2 offensive guys just now and 1 defensive, but they just did a fantastic job putting that team back together.
And again, Eric Ebron, an X factor that people had written off, myself included, from his days in Detroit. You've been an Ebron fan over the years. I mean, he goes there and he fills a void because, again, they have T.Y. Hilton and they have these guys like, I don't know his name. But Ebron goes in there and catches all those touchdowns for him, gives Luck an option. That's huge.
Yeah. So, I mean, great job by them. Okay, so next game. So the Colts can the Colts beat? I don't know. We're going to get into the Colts.
Yeah,
game.
let's get into that.
I just want to. We're kind of they, basically one impressive thing. The Texans have a good run defense, and the Colts ran all over it. I mean, part of that was they were winning 21-0, so they were running more, but their offensive line's pretty good.
Yeah.
Chargers Ravens. Interesting method of spying Lamar. I mean, do you think they solved the Lamar Jackson puzzle, or did they just throw a different wrinkle that the Ravens will figure out how to deal with later?
And again, I texted you on Sunday about this, that I was ready to go 30 minutes on this game just by itself because so many layers to this one too. I think a couple things. Did they solve it, to answer your question? Possibly. I think if you wanted to take a step back and look at the wrinkle that Chip Kelly brought to the NFL when he had his brief time there, that was all innovative in this and that got blown up fast. So that could also happen to the Lamar, because the thing that I took away more than—
Did you say the Lamar?
The Lamar, yes, I did actually.
I think you did.
I think it's called the Lamar offense, because if you think about it, nothing else is really happening. But I think I just wish there was a Control-Alt-Delete, restart that game, and see if they don't turn the ball over twice in their first 3 possessions, what the flow of that game begins, because that offense is built around rhythm, and there was just no rhythm. Lamar looked nervous. He bobbled a few snaps before the fumbles, and then you have, I think it was Gus who fumbled it no, it was Dixon, right? Dixon fumbled it to give short fields to the Chargers early in that game. And then the defense did what we thought the defense would do. They held them to field goals, great. But I think Lamar was completely rattled. For those who thought that Joe Flacco couldn't have put them in a better position the rest of that game, you're lying to yourself, because Lamar was A, rattled, B, they were down by too many points. That offense is based on an RPO, and the Chargers had snuffed it out. So you have to give them a different look to get back in that game with how many you were down. I think everybody just wanted to appease the Lamar Jackson love, and that people were over. This is what Twitter does, though. People get annoyed when somebody overcorrects. It's not overcorrecting. You have one game or you go home. You're on your home field. The fans deserve to see somebody else out there to give them a chance. Joe Flacco's probably not the answer, but Lamar Jackson definitely wasn't the answer in that game. I don't know if the Chargers solved the complete riddle, but they figured it out. And I think, again, I was all on the Ravens in this game last week.
Yep.
And it sucked because I don't know what that game could have been had the turnovers not happened early on. Through the complete rhythm out, the Ravens aren't built to come from behind. And if Lamar wasn't a rookie quarterback, I think I didn't put enough stock into that, because he definitely looked like a rookie in that matchup. And he's not built to come from behind even 6-9 points. They needed to score first. They kept coughing up the football. And I think Joe Flacco should have been in that game late to give them a chance, no matter what, because even the points that Lamar put on the board late were ugly as sin.
Do you think that, and I agree with you, I don't want to overreact to anything on one game. Do you think he is capable of improving enough as a passer? I mean, I think down the stretch in the 7 games he played in the regular season, I think he was an okay enough passer. I think he was good enough to pair with the other stuff that he brings to the table to make him a decent quarterback and to be able to win with. Do you think he's a good enough passer, or will be a good enough passer to overcome the possibility of teams figuring out how to play the run game and forcing him to throw, and is he going to be able to do that?
I think in non-division games, yes, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that in the AFC North. I think the defenses are going to adapt when they get to see, like we were just talking about. You get to see him twice a year, and they've already seen him once. They kind of get it. Now, I thought a little bit more innovation should have come in that game where, okay, everything's worked with this, right? They go to L.A. and beat the Chargers 2 weeks ago under this guise of, let's just run Lamar, let's run the RPO and gash them. And they did. And let the defense make a few plays. And the defense made plays for them in this game, and they still couldn't get over the hump. That's what concerns me going into 2019 with Lamar. If teams are seeing you more than once within a short window, you're going to get hosed. I think you need that space away from each other to really, I got to get back into this. Because, like I said at the top, Chip Kelly went through this too. Chip Kelly's offense was so innovative, this and that, and it worked early on, but it blew up really quick after that. And that's what I feared could happen with Lamar in this type of system.
All right. Eagles, Bears. I feel bad.
Where's Tariq Cohen? I'm so mad about that.
I still don't know where Tariq Cohen is. I agree with you.
Run the wheel route.
Nonsense.
Every time.
Nonsense that they didn't use him. Terrible. So, Cody Parkey, can we clarify for everyone that the ball was tipped? Again, it was tipped. Okay? I'm not trying to make the guy feel better and take the blame, but it was tipped. I mean, if a kicker gets the ball tipped, it's not the kicker's fault, period. End of discussion.
But what, shouldn't he get it over the fingers?
Should he? I don't know.
At $9 million? Should he get it over his fingers?
I mean, should anybody? I mean, kicks get blocked. Guy got in.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know that was a particularly low kick, was it?
I don't see. That's where I'm parsing kickers.
I mean, 43 yards. It's not easy to say, "Oh, I'm going to kick it high."
$9 million. $9 million. That was the only thing that I was like.
It's a blocked kick.
Wow, $9 million.
Come on.
I think his history in the regular season did him no favors either.
I know, and everybody wanted to beat him up, but that it wasn't clear off the bat that it was blocked.
No,
we didn't know on the TV broadcast. We didn't know.
I thought it banked in, and then I was like, "Oh,
that's what I thought." I don't think I've ever seen a kick do that.
No, I haven't.
So the Eagles, we're going to get to their game later. I can't believe they won that game.
I know.
It's
really annoying.
They can't run. Foles was fine. I mean, he had that big drive.
Peter Schrager wants to put him in the Hall of Fame already.
The last drive was great. I like Foles. I'm not trying to beat the guy up. And I know I was saying here last week, I'm going to pick against him again. He's going to make me look stupid, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he made me look stupid. It's not like he lit it up. I mean, he's playing a great defense, so okay. And the last drive was terrific. But he was fine. Most of the day, he was fine.
We wouldn't have covered anyways because of the 6. It wouldn't have mattered, though.
Right.
Foles kept them in the game. But again, 6 points. We admitted last week 6 points was a lot of points. But it was 5 until that final drive. So it was, odds makers aren't stupid.
It was 5 until the final drive, and the Bears had gone for 2.
Right.
On the previous touchdown. Right.
Right.
Which they should have. But,
yes.
It's not good for gamblers necessarily.
No. Again, beautiful mind, numbers all over the place.
Yeah. Anyway, I know that these guys have won a bunch of games lately, and they're doing great. And I'm still looking. I watched that game. I went,
yeah.
All right. I mean, I tend to tune out this whole, there's something about them. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I mean, they've got some really great defensive players up front. I get that. But, they can't run worth a crap, so.
Peters has had a nice season. That's the only name I ever hear over and over again.
He gets hurt. He got hurt a lot this year. So, good for him for fighting through it.
Right.
All right. So, you and I were 2-2. I was 2-2, both straight up against the spread. You were 2-2 straight up. 1-2-1 against the spread. You had to push in Cowboys Seahawks.
1.5. I'm taking
Josh that. Was 1-3 against spread, 2-2 straight up. On NFLPickwatch.com. So, Ben Volin at the top goes 0-4. So Jamie Eisenberg pulls into a tie. I'm going to look at that now. I'm not going to do the screen share today. Actually, let's do the screen share. Right. So here's the screen share. So, this is straight up. I don't want that. I want against the spread right here. So.
It's already moved to next week.
It is. So, I can move it back, but I'm not going to. So Jamie Eisenberg goes, he went, I think 2-2. So Mike Clay went 4-0, by the way, against the spread. So he is now a half game behind Jamie Eisenberg, and Ben Volin is also Ben Volin is in a virtual tie because Jamie Eisenberg's 140, 113, Ben Volin's 139 and 112.
I swear I didn't see Clay make picks when I looked on Sunday.
But he had a no pick early, but I think Sean went and found it. So he had a no pick. There was a no pick that I saw on Sunday for Colts Texans, and Sean must have gone and found it. You're 10th in the standings right here. Pretty good, solid effort. I think
I stopped caring after the regular.
You can get to 5th. I think that's your ceiling.
Yeah.
So, but you're going to have to run the table pretty much on the last 7 games.
I'm good 16 weeks in. I was happy with that.
Otherwise, let's see. Josh is 23rd. I'm tied for 31st. Straight up, Elliot Harrison from the NFL Network still ahead. He went 2-2. He's now 177-81. Jamie Eisenberg again and Mitch Goldich from Monday Morning Quarterback are tied for 2nd. They're 3 games back. You and I are tied for 23rd. Josh is 51st. Okay, on the fan side, fan named Drew Padu. I'm going to pull it up right now.
Drew Padu.
Yep.
Padu.
Is that like Padawan? Is that I don't know what it is. I would love to know what it means. I would want to know what all these mean. Fan against the spread. Okay, here it is. So Jupiter went 3-1 straight up and leads the whole site, 178 and 78. Against the spread, Imidre, who's on top here, goes 1-2-1, is still in the lead by a pretty significant margin right here. That person's going to be tough to catch. It's basically 3 games ahead with 7 to play.
Right.
So it's going to be tough. That person's going to have to go, 2-5 or worse, and someone else is going to have to catch him, most likely. So that's where we are. If you have any questions about the picks for this week, when you want to make them, I'm at Halpin37. Ryan's at Freelance Fowler. And the main Pickwatch account is at Pickwatch. All right, let's get to the divisional round games. I'm going to stop the screen share. Nope. Stop share. There we go. We're back. I think we're back.
We're back.
Okay. Let's get to Colts Texans. The latest line. Colts Chiefs. Thank you. That's the one I meant.
I'm here for you, John.
Chiefs by 5.5. Over under is a healthy 57, which is exactly what I was thinking. Watching that game in the second half on Saturday afternoon, I'm going, what's the over under going to be? It's going to be pretty damn high. And it's 57. All right, a little background on these teams. Injuries. Mike Mitchell for the Colts hurt his calf the other day. Safety, he's questionable. Chiefs, we're going to know more probably, since this game's Saturday, we should know more today because they'll be on the practice field today. We should know more today about Spencer Ware, Sammy Watkins, Eric Berry, and even their guard, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who has been out since week 5, might play. Watkins, all these guys, Andy Reid talked on Monday, and he said, making progress. All right. Thank you.
Coach, speak.
Yeah. So Sammy Watkins has been out for a while with the foot injury, and it sounded like with a few weeks left in the season, they sort of shut him down and said, you know what, we want him ready for the playoffs. So we're going to sit him and not risk it and not try. Because there were a few weeks where it's like, well, he's questionable. He's going to be a game-time decision. And, that was a month ago. And he hasn't played since. So we're going to see. We should know more today about all those guys. It sounds like Ware will be ready. The other guys, I'm not so sure. Mm-hmm. This game here, all right, Colts, 11 out of 12. We talked about them. In the 9 games since the bye, the Colts have allowed 15.3 points per game. You talked about their defense improving. They were better than we thought in the beginning of the year, and they got better as the season went along. On the road, they're 6-3 against the spread. They've been a good run team. They're 6th in the league, 3.9 yards per carry allowed. They showed that against Lamar Miller on Saturday. They didn't let him get much. Let's go to the Chiefs. Chiefs are 7-1 straight up, but only 4-4 against the spread at home. They've lost 3 of their last 6. In those games, they allowed over 30 points a game, and that includes a game against the Raiders where they gave up 3. So they give 177 in the other 5 games, so 178. Against the spread in their last 7, they are 1-5-1. I want to ask you about them. Oh, the other thing, yards per carry. We talked about the run game, the Colts run game doing well with their young line improving. Chiefs have allowed 5 yards a carry. They're 31st in the league. The Chiefs started strong. Like I said, they lost 3 of their last 6. So they started, 10-1, right? Or 9-1.
I think
are they fading, or are they in a slump that they're going to snap out of? They're flawed for sure.
Oh.
What do you think they are right now?
I think they're in a slump that they can get out of because Andy Reid is a good coach and can make adjustments. But I just don't think you can put lipstick on a pig, which is what their defense is. And Andrew Luck just carved up a pretty good defense, especially the front 7. And the Chiefs' defense is among the worst 4, 5, 3.
They're bad.
And again, all you have to do is go back a couple weeks when the Chiefs played the Seahawks. I know it was in Seattle, but if you establish the run and you look at what Andrew Luck can do through the air, which Russell Wilson doesn't do as well, I'm not saying the Colts can win this game outright, but I am saying 5.5 is a lot of points to be giving a team that is doing it on both sides of the ball.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
I don't know who I'm picking yet. I agree with you that it's a lot of points. You don't think the Colts can win this game?
I do think they can win this game.
Oh, I thought you said I don't. I'm sorry.
I said I'm not saying the Colts are going to win this game or the Chiefs lose it. I'm saying that the points is where the delicious focus is right now.
Yeah.
Because it's just – and you also have to factor in – and Mahomes is wired differently if you want to say that, okay. But he's still a rookie in the playoffs. He's a rookie quarterback in the playoffs, and the moment was too big for Lamar the other day. He just peed down his leg and Deshaun didn't look crisp. So you have these young quarterbacks where it's like, oh my God, there's so much pressure. Oh, I gotta my wristband doesn't have all the plays, and they panic. Mahomes is probably a little bit better than that from just watching him play this year. But that doesn't say that he's going to have this perfect game. There's a lot of pressure on him to be perfect in this game because he's got the MVP in the back of his mind, and all that stuff weighs on somebody. Plus, he's had 2 weeks to think about it, whereas in the regular season, all you're doing is, okay, game's over, get ready for the next week. Game over, oh, no, now I have to – the worst thing you can do as a young player is have to live with yourself. All the stuff that goes through your mind, oh, my God, there's so many things. He wasn't overthinking before. He was just getting ready for the next game. I think that also is something you kind of have to play into where Andrew Luck's been here. He's went through adversity. He's played great. He's played horribly. He hasn't had an offensive line. He's been through all the trials. That's where I look at it. I'm like, man, Mahomes could be in for a rude awakening in this. Not because he doesn't have a perfect game, but because the Colts are just playing so well on both sides of the ball.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. And I don't know that this is an easy answer or something that solves anything, but what's bigger? The gap between the Chiefs and Colts offense or the gap between the Colts and the Chiefs defense?
Defense, no question.
Yeah.
No question. I mean, it's huge. And that's so weird because, again, I hate to reiterate the same point, but it does come – when you and I covered fantasy for Fox, you loaded up against the Colts. They couldn't stop a run. They allowed a lot of pass yards, but that defense just got so good in the blink of an eye where you're slowing down Lamar Miller, who had a heck of a year. You're slowing down maybe a DeAndre Hopkins at 85%, and yeah, they didn't really have a second or third option in the passing game, but Kuti came back, yada, yada, yada. It just,
he caught 100 passes.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts are in a position where they can slow down Kelsey and the run game. Maybe Tyreek Hill has a huge game, but they're not going to let multiple players have big games, and that's where I think this game comes down to a field goal. I mean, this is a field goal game. This isn't a 5.5-point game in my mind. And I think as we talk about things that get overblown, I think based on what we are looking at in the archives of this year, that home field advantage in Arrowhead has kind of been pissed away, right? I mean, it's not – it was hard to play in Arrowhead. But you look at it and you're like – but not as much as it, I think, was at a different level before the start of the season.
I mean, yeah, the thing about – I'm looking at their schedule.
It's loud there. I'll give
and how they did down the stretch. I mean, they had that loss to the Chargers. Remember, the week before that, the Ravens had them beat.
Yes.
You know, it was 24-17 until a fourth down conversion.
Yeah.
And I know the Ravens
ridiculous fourth down conversion.
An especially good defense, but the Ravens held them in check. The Chargers kind of held their offense. You know, I mean, they gave up 28, but it's not like they, you know, it wasn't the explosive stuff we saw early in the season. Against the Seahawks, I mean, yeah, they scored 31 on the road. It's fine. It's just like I feel like they're a step off. And I don't know if it's the Kareem Hunt thing. Maybe we're not. I mean, you know, we kind of get into the. I know I'm in that camp of the. You know, the running backs are kind of interchangeable and whatever. And we saw Pittsburgh, but maybe it means maybe there's a step down. Maybe it means something. I don't know. I mean, Damian Williams is kind of a journeyman running back. He played a lot down the stretch. And I don't know. You can just plug anybody in there. I mean, he did fine, but maybe there is a step off there. And Watkins being out, that matters. Yeah. Watkins wasn't their primary or secondary receiver, but it matters. A drop off from Watkins to Chris Conley is there.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you think the spread? This is something to consider too when making this pick. It's 5.5, right? Right now, 5.5, correct? If the Colts and Chiefs both had 2 weeks to prefer this game, would it be Colts -3? Are they giving them are they giving the Chiefs a point, maybe a half a point, maybe more, because they have the rest and the Colts have to play back?
I don't know. I think that's a hard one. I don't know. I think that might be counterbalanced by we've forgotten a little about the Chiefs aren't fresh in our mind and the Colts are, and what's in our mind about the Colts is very positive. So I think
absolutely. So if the Colts kind of they barely beat Houston at 7,
maybe
6.5.
I agree. They're so impressive.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because we talked that the Chiefs were slowed down the stretch a little bit. I mean, we have to take their whole body work, but the way you enter the playoffs, I mean, I'm not a huge momentum guy, but what we saw over the last 6-7 weeks, it matters. And what we saw from the Colts was a dramatic. I mean, there was clear improvement as the season went on. So
what about the under in this game? What about the under? A lot of unders last weekend.
All right. So the other stat I wanted to bring out Okay, so we know the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are built around their offense. So to win, they're going to have to score. I mean, you would think. I mean, I know they beat the Ravens 27-24 in overtime and all that. The Colts' pace of play is first. They play faster than anyone as far as seconds per play.
So that allows for an over.
You got one side with this explosive offense.
Right.
And you got the other side playing faster than anyone against this terrible defense.
Right. So it's an over.
I tend to think the Colts are going to score a lot of points.
Right.
And if we think it's going to be a close game or a Chiefs win, even a narrow one, I think it's more likely to be 34-31 than 24-21.
I'm with you. That pace of play stat, do not ignore that. John looked it up. Pay attention to it.
It matters. I think against that team, that's a recipe for a lot of Colts points. And I think the Chiefs can keep up for sure. I mean, I'm not sitting there, forget that. I mean, they're going to score. So I think, I agree with you. I think the 5.5 is a lot.
This should be a primetime game. I know why they can't.
I know.
It should be a primetime game. Man, under the lights, woo, that'd be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I'll be watching this. I mean, that's fun. I think it's a good lead-up game for this weekend.
I've loved all the matchups so far. So I've loved it.
Cowboys, Rams, Saturday night.
Ooh,
right now we are at Rams -7. Over-under 49.5. It's a lot. Isn't it?
Are you talking about total points?
Total points. That's a lot.
Yeah.
For a team, for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So
much slower.
Yeah. All right. So injuries here. Alan Hearns, we saw that.
I didn't watch the video. I was very proud of myself.
I hope you get better, Alan Hearns.
Was it that bad?
It was bad. Cole Beasley also played through an ankle sprain. We're going to have to keep an eye on
returning too late in the game.
So he played through it. So you would think he's going to play, but there's issues. I mean, they need wide receiver depth, and they don't have it. I mean, that's two guys they're down. And Garrett already talked on Monday about possibly activating someone from the practice squad for depth. Good. I mean, that's where they are if you're down two guys.
Michael Gallup made a nice catch.
Yes, he did. David Irving probably still out, but we're not sure yet. Their left guard, Xavier Su'a-Filo, he was out against the Seahawks. They're hoping he'll be back. On the Rams side, Todd Gurley.
Never heard of him.
They think he's going to practice today. If he's even limited, we're going to need to watch this because this knee injury has been lingering. Now maybe by the time you watch this show, the concerns of Todd Gurley are gone. You're going to hear full practice, good, whatever, because we're doing this 9:30 Tuesday morning Eastern. Okay, but Todd Gurley's not. I mean, Sean McVay was not convincing to me about how he described Todd Gurley on Monday. It was we expect him to practice. We think he'll be fine. Okay, probably. So, all right. Some numbers here. The Cowboys have won 8 out of 9. However, they've been so strong at home. On the road, they are 4-4 against the spread, 3-5 straight up. Speaking of Todd Gurley, the Cowboys are 3.8 yards per carry allowed. They're 4th in the league. It's pretty good against the run. Rams at home, 7-1, but 3-3-2 against the spread. They are actually last. They're behind the Chiefs in yards per carry allowed. Ezekiel Elliott, you're listening to this. The Rams are last in the league with 5.1 yards per carry allowed. Pretty cool. The Rams scored 30+ in 12 of their 16 games.
Unbelievable.
You said to me the other day, you're going to take the under, right? Is this the game you said that about?
I'm not remembering this.
You texted me, I'll take the under, whatever it is. Maybe it was another game.
It might have been Chargers.
Chargers, Pat. I think it was Chargers, Pats. My bad.
It's okay.
So
that's what we were talking about.
The pace of play stat, by the way, Rams 3rd, Cowboys 24th. I just like to factor that into the over-under a little bit. I don't know if that disparity helps us. I do think this is a lot of points for the over-under. I think it's high.
Mm-hmm. So the Rams are going to win 30-13.
I was about to say 30-17. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I will say I become more of a Dak Prescott fan all the time.
I'd agree with that.
I was writing him off because the first year I was one of those people, and I confession, I'm one of those Cowboy haters.
Right.
But first year I went, well, he was fine, but he had a pristine pocket every time he threw. And they had a good run game, and the guy just stood there and just picked defenses apart because he never had to worry about a sack. And then the second year it was, when Zeke was out, he wasn't as good. It was like, it was more Tyron Smith, but okay. And I just feel like I like him more. And I know Amari Cooper's helped him, but hey, that happens. Like quarterback gets a good receiver.
Deserves it.
Yeah. I don't know. I like him. And I wonder, I think there's a possibility he kind of rises to this moment a little bit. I don't know how much I believe it. Like, I know it can happen. I don't know how convinced I am that it will. I think Zeke should run plenty, but I think the Rams are probably too strong.
Especially at home. If this was at Dallas, I might have a different feeling. I like the Rams in this. The one thing that kind of opened my eyes to where they were at, I know it was the Cardinals, and it's the worst comp to use. But they did what a lot of teams haven't been able to do that are at the top this year. They went to Arizona, and they stepped on the opposing team's neck when they were supposed to. What was it, 30-9? Like,
right.
They just made – it wasn't – and that was without Gurley, you have to remember, too. Like, that was where I was like, man, they didn't need Todd Gurley, and they still dropped 30 on the Cardinals. I mean, because C.J. Anderson came out of the woodwork and just went off in that game and has actually been a nice little – substitute for Gurley, and it was at late in the season. Some teams don't care, yada yada yada. But it didn't slow down the offense, is what my point is. And if you get Gurley back this week, and I'm a little hesitant on them hitting the 30-point threshold. But you brought up pace of play, so I'm gonna bring that up with the Cowboys. It takes them a while, and it doesn't take the Rams that long. So you need Gurley at least 90-95% for me to feel great about covering 7 because the Cowboys defense. But the Cowboys, their Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde act home and away, that rears its ugly head. Do not forget about what happened to the Cowboys at the Colts. I know the Colts defense is good, but Colts team shuts them out. I mean, this team, Dallas, on the road
they're different.
They're just different. It's not – I don't want to get into the minutia of it, but they just haven't rose to the occasion on the road. And I think the Rams with the week off, you get Gurley a little bit healthier. And even if they don't, C.J. Anderson might rush for 60, 70 yards. I know it's against the Cowboys, but he's been fine in replacement. You want Gurley, but I like the Rams in this spot. I think it could be a 27-17 type situation. I don't know if they hit the 30-point threshold, but I think what I saw from the Rams those final 2 weeks where we were like, what are they? Well, their offense is still pretty lightning fast, and that was without Gurley. I think you have to take that into consideration.
All right. Yeah, and they lost 2 in December. I mean, they lost that game at Chicago, and then they lost to the Eagles. That was a weird one. The Chicago game is like, okay, it happens.
Nick Foles, baby.
Yeah, and they only scored 6. I mean, the Bears' defense was, sky high for that game. But I almost wanted to give the Rams a pass there. That's all.
I'm not giving them a pass. This Gurley thing kind of annoying because he's just not a running back. He's another receiver for them. So it's like, man.
I'd say this. Okay, so I'm looking back. Remember that Week 9 game, Chiefs-Rams, that we all waited for and it lived up to the hype?
Yes.
Since then, both those teams have had bumps in the road, right?
Sure.
I've lost a lot more faith in the Chiefs than I have in the Rams. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you.
And I think I'm going under here. It's early.
I don't know what I'm going to do on the over-under. I have a
right. Chargers, Pats, Sunday, 1 o'clock.
This is
right now. The line it opened at 4.5. It's now Pats by 4. Over-under has dropped from 47 to 45.5.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the weather.
Yeah, cold. Last I saw, cold, snow. Let's check Foxborough weather. We're in the weather on the ones, as my local cable news channel says.
I don't know if you remember this. Dan Patrick, after he left ESPN, he had like this weird independent station that put him on air for a little bit after. And that station, it was so small, they made Dan Patrick, this big brand, do the weather and time on the radio, just like old school radio. It was hilarious.
That's great.
Got a kick out of that.
Right now, I'm not seeing snow.
Boo! I want snow.
I know, right? Don't you want about 6 inches of snow just for our entertainment?
My HD TV makes the snow sparkle. It's great.
Chance of precipitation, 20%. By the way, you know the Consumer Electronics Show?
Yes.
Yes. Did you see the 219-inch TV?
Oh, I did.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
It's a nice house. It's a nice wing of a house.
Yes, the 219. And apparently it can change size, did I see?
Yeah.
Holy cow. And it turns into art. Like if you're not on the TV, it can be like a painting. This is just great. I have some friends out there right now. I'm going to tell them to bring it home.
Financing is available.
Do you think you could sneak out of the convention center with that TV?
You shrink it down and you put it in your wallet. Great. All you do is like an iPad. You just in your pocket.
All right. So right now, according to the Weather Channel, Sunday forecast, high of 31 in Foxborough, chance of precipitation 20%. Right? So as of right now, we don't have the snow.
Ooh.
We talked about the Chargers going across the country for 1 o'clock start. Did the Chargers go home?
They better
stay east.
I don't know that answer.
All right. I'll check that after. Ask me if you're concerned about that fact. Anyone, tweet me later at Halpin37 or he's at Freelance Fowler. We'll check that one because I was wondering about that Sunday and I didn't follow up on it. Injury-wise, Hunter Henry, he's activated, right?
Yes.
They're ready to bring him back. They said if they advance, they were going to activate him. I don't know that means a lot. It's an interesting fact more than a game-changing fact to me. I mean, he'll probably play 20 snaps.
Yeah, that's
maybe. I don't know. I don't know how effective he'll be. No idea. Brandon Lee being the defensive tackle, that's a tough one. His daughter's sick. He missed a few games during the season. He missed Sunday's game. It was sort of they weren't sure during the week, and he wound up missing. I mean, prayers to him and his family. As far as real football, I thought it was going to impact the game against the Ravens because that was like, okay, a defensive tackle, that hurts against the running Ravens, and they were fine. I mean, maybe he's a good player, but maybe they adapt. Jatavis Brown, their linebacker, they're not sure yet. On the Patriots, the one thing you got to worry about, Devin McCourty, I don't know if he's out of the concussion protocol yet, and they're not practicing until Wednesday, so we're just going to have to keep an eye on that one. All right, so the Pats, 8-0 at home, 6-2 against the spread. They're another one of those. They're a different team there because on the road they struggled.
Oh, yeah.
But they're at home, and that's great. I mean, if they go to Kansas City next week, I'm not going to pick them, but that's a long way off. The Pats the defense has just – the run defense has struggled, okay? They've given up 4.9 yards per carry. That's 28th in the league. Melvin Gordon must be excited.
Mm-hmm.
They've been 5th in pass yards per play allowed. That's pretty good. The Chargers, on the other hand, Chargers have won 12 out of 14. They've been playing, that game against the Ravens. That was a big win. They've in the last month and a half, big boy wins at Pittsburgh, at Kansas City, at Baltimore. I mean, that team I said to you, by the way, the last thing, Chargers 8-1 on the road, which has been great. I texted you during this game and toward the end of this game, and I said, the Chargers are better than the Patriots. I am positive that the Chargers are better than the Patriots. I don't know if that means they're going to win.
Bingo. And that's all that matters.
Well, okay.
Right there, full stop. That's if for the purpose of this segment, that's all that matters.
But okay. But
you can say that they're better.
If I think one team's better, again, I say this every week, I am not forecasting the doom of the Patriots franchise. Right. I just think that this year they're a step below where they were. It's most years you go into the playoffs and the Patriots have a bye, you say they're probably going to make the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And half the time you're right.
Mm-hmm.
This year I'm going, probably not.
No, maybe, and I'd agree with that.
But probably not. They're just a little – I mean, the Josh Gordon absence hurts.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't great, but you have to account for him. I mean, he was good enough that you had to account – the defenses had to account for him, and now it's a different ballgame with that. The other thing, the defense with them – I mean, we can get into how Gronk's slower, and even Brady's a little bit different. But the defense, there have been so many years with them where in the first half of the season, their defense is just terrible. And you go, they'll figure it out, and they do. They kind of fix it because their coaching staff is so good. Mm-hmm. And they kind of haven't really fixed it, have they?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still think there are moments, and again, at home especially, where that bend do not break defense shows its head. They allow a ton of yards, and then they lock it down, where a team might have to settle for 3 or not score at all once they cross the 50. That has happened a lot when they've been at home. On the road, completely different conversation. But let me pose this question to you as we kind of get deeper into this. Do you trust, and we love the word trust when we do this stuff, the last 10 years I've known you, do you trust Tom Brady this weekend more or less than Phillip Rivers?
I think it's pretty close.
It is very close, which is weird because the Chargers are the better team.
Yeah.
But I do not trust Phillip Rivers in this moment. I do not trust a team. Watching Rivers at Baltimore, and Baltimore's defense is awesome. And the Patriots defense is not even near close to what the Ravens is. Phillip Rivers makes me very nervous in this because there are still going to be moments where Rivers tries to do too much, and his approach to passing a football makes me want to throw up. So it's one of those things where I'm like, just let Gordon carry the ball 25 times and take your chances there, because your defense is going to be what's the difference in this game. The Chargers' defense is why they're going to win in advance. It's not going to be on Phillip Rivers' arm in this matchup based on the weather conditions, based on playing in New England, which is no fun for anybody. The defense of the Chargers is going to be the reason why they win this game, if they do, which I don't think they're going to. But Phillip Rivers, I trust Tom Brady twice as much as I do Phillip Rivers in this matchup.
All right.
At home.
Okay, but with the points, now the spread is not big.
It's not.
But if I think one team's better and I'm getting 4 points, I'm taking it.
So you're going to take the Chargers 4.5 or 4.
Yep.
It's 4 now.
Yep.
I'll take the Patriots. And if I'm wrong, because I was wrong on the Chargers last week, I'll be fine with it. I'm going to lean into the Patriots here at home.
And my other on that with the points, if I think the underdog's got a good shot to win, I'm going to take the points.
Sure.
And that's where I think I'm leaning here.
And one thing we can, again, I don't want to overstate this. NFL kickers are terrible. I would love some type of deep dive in NFL kicking the last 3 years. And this has nothing to do with Parkey. This is just NFL kickers suck. Badgley has been a breath of fresh air for the Chargers.
Yeah,
when you're like just taking it for granted that extra points are going to be made or field goals are going to be, again, weather conditions, wind, all that type in Foxborough is going to come into play. If Badgley's what he has been, that's a big factor into 4.5. That's like based on what we have seen even last weekend, where kickers get hurt, back to recovers, Parkey, this and that. Badgley's and Gostkowski is what Gostkowski is. He's had a little bit of a down year too, though. Do not poo-poo the confidence and the reliability of these kickers in these matchups when you're looking at points.
All right, I want to clarify one thing. I already talked earlier about how the defense hasn't maybe they haven't really fixed the defense.
Mm-hmm.
For context, here's their points allowed in their last 6 games: 13, 10, 34, 17, 12, 3.
I just know it was Jets and Bills the final 2 weeks.
It was a lot of Jets, and I mean, it was 2 Jets. But Steelers, the Dolphins were the one that they give a lot. And that was the Kenyon Drake free finish.
Oh, right. So
they shut down the Vikings. They held the Steelers offense down. Maybe let's look. I know that 3 of the games were against Jets and Bills. Maybe I overstated that.
No, I just wanted to point it out. I just wanted to point it out because the Jets, I took the Jets had 13.5 in that game. And when we were talking about that many points this year, it seemed like 13.5 was a pretty safe bet. The Jets went for it on 4th and inches inside the red zone twice, and they turned it over on down. So is that the Jets or is that the Patriots defense? Maybe it's a combination of both. But the Jets did move the ball. They just choked on it once they got inside the 30 or 20.
All right. Last thing about this game. Well, not the last thing. The under, by the way. 4 of the last 5 for the Chargers went under. 8 of the last 9 for the Patriots went under. The pace of play thing, Patriots 5th, Chargers last.
I'm taking the under.
I think I'm taking the under too.
Yeah. I think that could be a game in the teens. 17-13? Man.
I don't know. I think
I need 12. So I can't say 17-13.
I mean, the Pats since the bye, they've scored 27-24, 33, 10-24, or 38 against the Jets.
I'm trying, again, we played the games out in our mind. What has Joey Bosa done? Joey Bosa's kind of been there, lingering, makes a play here or there. Does he have this great game where he
pressures the pocket? Oh, boy.
And Brady hates that.
Yeah.
Brady can't run.
I mean, the old adage has always been, pressure Brady up the middle.
Yeah.
The Chargers get it more from the ends, but I don't think it matters. I mean, they got to, make him uncomfortable, like any quarterback, but especially him because he's not that mobile. You make him uncomfortable.
You always have to think too, Belichick with 2 weeks to prepare for a team. I mean, he was already preparing for both.
I know. So on the Belichick front, the thing about Belichick has always been, all right, a team, he takes out one guy, right? That's the conventional wisdom about Belichick, that he's going to target one guy on a team with a diverse offense. He's going to target one guy and try to take him out. Who is it? Is it Gordon or Keenan?
Man, that's a great question.
I think it's Keenan.
Keenan. We said it at the same time. I think it's Keenan too because Melvin Gordon is not healthy.
Right.
He came out of that game for a minute against Baltimore. He came back in, but not healthy. He got dinged up in week 17 when they pushed their luck with him, and he was already coming back from injury. So I'll take Keenan. Keenan's a man, and Keenan finds space, man. He's not because of how Rivers throws the football, which again makes me want to throw up. Keenan runs those slants as best as anybody in the league, and then he runs away from defenders. It's fun to watch. I had Keenan on my fantasy team for years. It's just a fun guy to watch.
If we're right about this, for people who play daily fantasy, at which I am, not that great, it makes me think of the Giants-Bills Super Bowl when they took out Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas just ran all over the Giants, and they let him.
Right.
They just basically were like, we're going to give him what he wants. We're going to give him the room to run and take out the other guy, and we think we're going to win that way. If we're right about Keenan being the target, Melvin Gordon should have a pretty strong day.
I'd agree.
Statistically, anyway. All right. I like the Chargers. Look, this is great. I'm making all my picks. I don't have to think early in the week. I know where I'm going everywhere.
Yeah, there you go.
Eagles, Saints. Here, I don't know where I'm going. We've got, right now, Saints -8. Over-under is 50.5. This is the only game of the week where there's a rematch. Week 11, the Saints beat the Eagles 48-7 in the Superdome. It was Wentz threw 3 picks. The Eagles' banged-up secondary showed every bit of their banged-upness. Traquan Smith, 10 catches I don't think he got 10 other passes the whole year. It didn't seem like it. Every other week it was like 2. 10 for 157 and a touchdown.
Wasn't that Dan Arnold's breakout game too?
Who else had a Ingram had a big game too. Injuries here. Saints, really nothing. Their defensive end, Alex Okafor's got a knee injury, but they think he'll be fine. Eagles side, Sidney Jones, they're hoping to play. He's got a hamstring issue. They might get Mike Wallace back. All right, so the Eagles, they've won 6 out of 7 since that loss at New Orleans. In those games, they have allowed 69.3 rushing yards to opposing running backs. They've been playing the run well. Fletcher Cox is a monster. We've talked about him before. And they stopped the Bears running game pretty well the other day. Philly can't run, as we mentioned earlier. Saint Nick Foles, everybody's favorite quarterback and future Hall of Famer. In his 6 starts this season, he's got 9 touchdowns and 6 picks. Just saying.
Just throwing it out there.
I like Nick Foles. I do. Anyway, the Saints, after they lost to the Bucs in week 1, they won 13 out of 14. Week 17, I'm not counting because they benched everybody. But in weeks 2 through 12, they averaged 36.9 points per game. The next 4 weeks, they averaged 20.2. What do you think? Do you think their offense is it slowing down? Did they just run into a bad run? What do you think?
They're still loaded. I think the one thing, if there's anything to highlight, is after Thomas, Ingram, Kamara, where does Breeze go? And there is really no answer on that. You can bring up Traquan's first game, but like you said, Traquan faded late. That's why, again, they knew they needed to do something with Dez, and then he got hurt. Brandon Marshall didn't even factor in to get on the field, and they cut him. But they needed somebody, and I think that could bite them at some point in these playoffs. I don't think it bites them against the Eagles secondary, which is still garbage, even though it hasn't been exploited as it's needed to be the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. But I think Breeze is up to this challenge. I think you might see a little bit of spark now that they've had a little bit of rest. Ingram, I still think, is an underrated running back, to be completely honest. I think Kamara, and what he can do in both the pass and rushing game, kind of overshadows what Ingram can give you on any given week. Yes, the rush defense of the Eagles is good, but I still think Ingram's a little underrated, especially when you have the Thunder Lightning combination that they use. But I just don't think that we're going to see the regress to the mean continue for New Orleans. I think they throttle it up and kind of send a message this weekend that they're going to be able to handle everybody in this postseason. I still like the Saints to win the Super Bowl.
I think I do too. In this game, by the way, speaking of Nick Foles, we talked about how the Eagles can't run. The Saints are second in the league. They've given up 3.6 yards per carry. The Eagles are not going to run the ball successfully.
So you rely on Nick Foles for 4.
Going to happen. So it is on Nick Foles' shoulders. And the Saints can be beat through the air. They're near the bottom of the league against the pass. And, they tried to shore it up, getting Eli Apple during the season. It's fine. Yeah. But, this is on Nick Foles' shoulders and the defenses. But on the offense, it's on Nick Foles' shoulders.
So if Nick Foles upsets the Saints, which he's not going to do, he goes to Canton.
Hall of Fame, right away.
Right away.
Bypass the 5-year waiting period, just send him.
Yeah. And the statue will be built by the time he gets back to Philly.
Do you think – I'm going to get to this later. Pace of play again, by the way. I had the Eagles 24. Is that right? Hang on. I feel like I got a misprint here.
You are my sunshine.
Yeah, saying everybody.
He didn't get blinds for Christmas.
No, I did not get blinds for Christmas.
Should I ask for blinds for Christmas? That would have been
sun coming in. There it is. Yeah, there it is.
It was on your face a second ago.
All right, so Eagles 27th, Saints 29th in pace of play.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's slow.
That's slow.
Saints are slow?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Right? Let me confirm that. I'm going to look somewhere else.
That's kind of interesting. So I'll take the under now.
See, now I don't have them at the bottom and elsewhere. Plays per game. Is that right? I have them at 8th.
I'll take the over, 50.5.
All right, I'm confused here. I'm looking at two different paces of plays, and they're confusing me. So,
it's like
you taking the over?
I'll take the over.
I think I'm going under.
Okay. How many points are the Eagles going to score?
I think they might not score 20.
Interesting. They might not. They're just again, the Eagles are. They're just tough to watch. Like, who's going to make the play? Because with Wentz, it was Ertz. Ertz was going to make the play. But Foles has kind of worked everybody into the equation. Aguilar, a little bit of maybe Alshon Jeffrey. Darren Sproles maybe has a big game. Oh, a revenge game for Darren Sproles. Yeah, it's tricky to figure out how they're going to put up enough to keep pace, and that's why you have the 8th spot.
Right.
It's begging to be odds makers are begging you to take the Eagles. It's either leaning on people believing in Foles that he can keep it at least close, which I just don't see it. Especially, it will be interesting to see how Breeze attacks that secondary, because that secondary was getting carved up leading back to that game with New Orleans the first time around. And then the last few weeks, the teams that played against the Eagles, they didn't really attack that secondary as much, or it got better over time a little bit.
Okay. By the way, those stats about the Saints slowing down on offense later, the slowdown was on the road more than at home.
Makes sense.
Going backward, again, we're going to throw out the Panthers game because it was a bunch of backups. They scored 31 against the Steelers. They had 3 road games in a row. So before that, they scored 31 against the Falcons, even though that was closer than it looked. They scored 48 against the Eagles. Then they scored 45 against the Rams. I mean, maybe the home game. Yeah. I'm definitely going Saints here.
Yep.
Okay. And the over-under.
You were going to bring something up. You're like, I'll get to that later. I want to know now.
Do you think the Eagles are dumb enough to trade Wentz?
Or
would it be dumb?
It would be dumb. I
think it would be dumb.
I think you would need a king's ransom to move. Quarterbacks are hard to find in this league. And Carson Wentz, even though I don't know what this back injury long-term is and people get nervous or just making headlines, depending on the severity of the back injury, I think it's hard to find good quarterback play, and I don't think Nick Foles is a long-term answer. So you'd be dumb to trade Carson.
I think it would be dumb.
Yes.
Would it be dumb if you could get 2 number 1 draft picks?
Draft pick? I don't know. That's a lot. That's nice. It, again, depends. Are you getting 2 number 1 draft picks and you're John Gruden picking at the back end of the draft?
Right.
Oops.
I don't know.
Two top 15s maybe. But yeah, I mean, I would listen. I think it's kind of hard to pass that up.
I mean, you got to pay Foles soon, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you got to pay Foles next year. I don't have that contract information, folks. So sorry.
I guess it depends. The thing that's going to lead anybody to make a educated opinion on that, what is the severity of this back injury? Is this something
I think it's fine.
Yeah. People just went back to his college career. All of a sudden, it was really weird. Like, oh, he had these injuries in college and blah, 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 blah. And then they start mumbling under their breath and wonder, okay, is this a Gronk situation where Gronk, even though he's played at an elite level, had these injuries in college that have kind of followed him and shortened his NFL career. I guess that's kind of how I looked at it. But Wentz isn't getting crushed as much as Gronk is.
Right. All right. Got anything else? We miss anything? We went an hour on 4 games. Pretty good.
We're good at this. I told you I could do a half an hour on just Chargers Ravens. If you want to do that, you holler at me. Sean, overlord of Pickwatch.com. You want a Chargers Ravens breakdown for 30 minutes? I'm your guy.
We can do it separately. Ryan can go on Facebook and do that separately for you, everybody. You should tweet him at Freelance Fowler and ask him for the half-hour breakdown of Chargers Ravens.
I know Baltimore fans are very interested in that.
Yes. All right. I'm at jhalpin37 on Twitter if you want to reach me. The main account is at Pickwatch. Listen, if you're watching this on Facebook, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, please like us on Facebook. All these we do live on Facebook, and then we put on YouTube later. And the Friday show, we break down into the individual game discussions that Josh and I have. So you can check that out before the weekend. But we're going to be back here. I think Josh and I are going to do Friday morning again. So that's the plan. And then I will do again 3:30 Saturday Eastern, noon Sunday Eastern, previewing the games, the inactives, the latest lines, all the picks we got in over the weekend, all that kind of stuff. So please come on back then and make your picks and track everyone else's at NFLPickwatch.com. That's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. Like I said, I'll be back with Josh on Friday to make the divisional round picks. So please come on back then. For Ryan Fowler, I'm John Halpin. Thank you for watching Pickwatch Live.